Banana peels are one of the most common kitchen scraps to hit the worm bin, and most people assume they're the perfect worm food. They're soft, they break down quickly, and worms seem to swarm them like kids around a candy bowl. But I recently ran a little experiment that proved feeding only banana peels is not the magical worm-raising trick some gardeners think it is. Here's what really happened. I took a fresh batch of composting worms and set up a small bin just for this test. No lettuce scraps, no coffee grounds, no bedding top-ups, just banana peels. At first, the results looked promising. Worms rushed the peels as soon as I buried them. Banana peels release a sweet smell and soften almost immediately. It's like worm ice cream, easy to slurp and packed with sugar. Growth looked fast, activity was high, but then, things began to shift. After a few feedings, the texture of the bin changed. When banana peels decompose, they turn into a thick, slippery sludge. That slimy layer can trap moisture and reduce airflow, creating pockets of anaerobic conditions, and worms hate that. I noticed the castings looked wetter than normal. Some worms were even climbing the sides, trying to escape the swampy mess below. Banana peels also attract fruit flies, badly. Within just a few days, tiny fruit flies were everywhere. Even with the peels buried, they still found a way in. So, if you're feeding a lot of banana peels, make sure to bury them deep or freeze them first to kill any eggs. This is where the science gets interesting. You know, bananas are high in potassium, which plants absolutely love. But here's the thing, worms need a balanced diet for healthy digestion. Now, too much potassium and sugar means they aren't getting some crucial stuff, like essential nitrogen, gritty minerals to grind food, and carbon-rich bedding to stabilize moisture. Without carbon, the bin becomes overly acidic. Worms don't like acid either, and neither do beneficial microbes. I began noticing that the worms looked thinner. They were still alive, still feeding, but honestly, not thriving. Even worse, the banana-only bin started to smell off. Worm bins should smell like forest soil, not like a sweet sour fruit smoothie gone wrong. By the fourth week, a few worms showed signs of stress, curled tails, sluggish movement, and pale skin. The microbial balance was collapsing, and, yeah, the worms were paying the price. Let's be super clear, banana peels are fine in moderation. Bananas only equals a nutritional disaster. So, here's why bananas are interesting. They provide potassium, a bit of calcium and magnesium, and, well, they're kind of a quick microbe party because they break down super fast. But bananas are missing some important stuff, like nitrogen, carbon, a good fiber structure, microbial diversity, and even some grit that worms need for proper digestion. Honestly, it's kind of like feeding worms dessert every day. Sure, they'll eat it, but they just won't stay healthy in the long run. So, banana peels do boost microbe activity and can help worms multiply, but only if they're paired with a bit of variety. For a healthy worm diet, you actually need around 70% bedding, like paper, cardboard, or dead leaves. Then, you add diverse scraps, such as veggie peels, coffee grounds, grains, and eggshells. Oh, and don't forget about aeration and moisture control. So, after my month-long test, I switched the worms back to a balanced menu, and guess what happened? Within 10 days, activity shot up. The castings became darker and more crumbly. The fruit fly population, well, it plummeted, and those rogue worms that tried escaping, they went right back to munching happily in the bin. Banana peels still have a place, just, not the only place. Here's the formula that really works. So, first, freeze the peels. This kills any fruit fly eggs and softens the peel. Next, cut them into smaller pieces to speed up decomposition. Then, mix with shredded cardboard to help balance the moisture. Add just a pinch of crushed eggshells for some grit. And only feed what your worms can finish in about 2 to 3 days. This combo keeps the bin oxygen-rich and microbe-diverse, basically, everything worms love. Alright, so here's the final verdict. Banana peels are good for your worms, but honestly, they're just not great on their own. Feeding worms only banana peels might sound like a fun shortcut, but it actually leads to an imbalance pretty quickly. Moderation means thriving worms, but excess, that just leads to stressed worms and, yeah, some pretty smelly sludge. So, next time you finish a banana, go ahead and toss the peel in the bin, but remember to add bedding and mix things up with some variety. Your worms will definitely thank you for it.